Greetings from the winter wonderland. This is December in Finland, and as we reach the end of the year, it has become somewhat a tradition to look back, reflect and gather the most important milestones. Just like Spotify, YouTube and many other platforms release their yearly wrapped summaries, I figured why not to create one for the Gaussian Splatting as well. So what exactly happened around this technology in 2025? Let's wrap up the year. Hello everyone, it's Olli here again, and although many are probably quite tired at this time of the year, it's still great to see that 2025 has been quite a ride, and especially in the world of 3D GS, a lot has happened. A significant number of new application devices and innovation have pushed the technology forward in exciting ways. My idea in this video is to go through a few categories and highlight the most notable 3D GS releases and developments under each one. So let's begin our year in review. Gaussian splatting models can be viewed in many different ways, but this year I've seen a clear rise in applications that add narrative and presentation-focused elements on top of the models. So we can call this category a narrative 3D GS viewers, and with that I mean that this type of viewers includes an options where we can save the preset camera viewpoints and annotation markers, which are basically info hotspots with text. These additions allows Gaussian models become richer, more expressive presentations and even carry a sense of storytelling. Early in the year, the virtual tour software 3D Vista announced support for Gaussian models. This opens an entirely new dimensions for virtual tour, not only through 360 photos, but now also through fully three-dimensional Gaussian environments. 3D Vista offers the ability to build highly customized and interactive presentations that you can freely host and publish online. It is also one of the rare software packages that you can purchase outright. No subscriptions, no mandatory logins. The developers have been very active during the year, releasing multiple strong updates, and Gaussian technology has integrated seamlessly into this momentum. Overall, an excellent tool if you want to build your own presentations around Gaussian models. In the same category as 3D Vista, we find this interesting software called KR Panel. Small but incredibly powerful viewer. It is originally designed as a virtual tour viewer for 360 photography, but now KR Panel can also be used to create narrative Gaussian presentations. It's not quite as easy to use as 3D Vista, but through to its XML-based customization system, you can create surprisingly advanced and visually striking presentations. One of its strengths are these comparison views, with which you can, example, show these different 3D techniques side by side. It also offers an impressive range of Gaussian-specific features, from fisheye views to full VR mode. Even though KR Panel does require some learning, when it comes to 3D GS features, it has easily been one of the most interesting applications this year. And like 3D Vista, it can be purchased with a one-time payment and is very reasonably priced. So moving on from these standalone softwares, we have also seen a lot of new purely web-based services in this narrative viewer category during 25. Teleport, developed by Finnish company Varjo, has also adapted narrative elements onto its popular platform. Users can add preset camera views and annotation markers to their presentations. And now, with Teleport Viewer, different models can also be linked to each other. Then there is this Blurry. It is a very recently launched online 3D GS viewer that also offers a light annotation features and initial camera angles. Blurry supports the newest Gaussian compression formats, making models load quickly and efficiently for web viewers. So it is a very useful little Gaussian service when you are looking for a solution for sharing and presenting models online. But then we need to also discuss about arrival space. Arrival space takes a very different approach to narrative Gaussian splatting by introducing an avatar-based social interface. Instead of freely flying a camera through a model, users explore Gaussian environments by walking through them as a player character. During this year, the Arrival Space team introduced a range of new features specifically designed for Gaussian splatting. Gaussian models can now be edited, combined, and arranged into a larger exhibition-like spaces, allowing creators to build virtual galleries and environments that users can explore together with their avatars. In many ways, Arrival Space introduced an entirely new narrative paradigm for Gaussian models, one that feels closer to multiplayer game worlds than traditional 3D viewers. But then, last but not least, I want to mention in this category a service called Voluma AI in particular. I have followed the development of this Netherlands-based viewer, which is perhaps one of the most versatile and capable Gaussian splatting platforms out there. Yet it hasn't received the attention it truly deserves. Voluma AI offers highly innovative ways to combine and layer multiple Gaussian models, which makes it perfect for use cases like construction sites documentation, where progress can be visualized over time. The viewer also supports features like HDR backgrounds for customizable skies, adding water elements, inserting other 3D models into 3D GS environments, and in its latest update, Voluma AI added a Boolean-like clip boxes, which can be animated to create effective revealing effects, cutaways, and selective visibility, allowing for highly creative presentation workflows. If you want to implement a versatile, interactive, and functional presentation around your Gaussian models, Voluma AI is definitely worth checking out. On our next category is particularly interesting phenomena that became very noticeable this year: the rapid rise of these Chinese 3D GS focused handheld scanners. Throughout 2025, the market saw an influx of new LiDAR scanners specifically designed to produce Gaussian splatting models. What all of these have in common is that they come from China and are a textbook manifestation of so-called Shenzhen ecosystem. And in its simplest form, it means that several seemingly competing Chinese technology companies sources key components from the same suppliers and component ecosystem, and then just wrap them in their own shells. And then they are marketed as separate scanning devices. In practice, many of these scanners are almost identical internally and rely heavily on one key component, which is in this case is this small mid 360 LiDAR module manufactured by Livex company, which is by the way a DJI subsidiary. This same LiDAR unit appears in scanners from at least these manufacturers: Xgrid's Lixel K1, 3D Maker Pro Eagle 1, and at least in these models produced by FJ Dynamics, and Then, in these very similar handheld scanners from a company called Share, because development cycles in China are extremely fast, sometimes as short as 6 months, X-Grid managed to secure a leadership position by adapting the next generation LiDAR unit earlier than others. And because of this, they were able to release their latest scanner, the Portal Cam, already in September this year. Portal Cam has now quickly become a very popular 3D-GS spatial scanner solution. Its purchase price has been kept relatively low, making it affordable for many. But what I would recommend most to watch out for when it comes to these scanners is the software itself that is used to use them. It is often overlooked that these scanners cannot be used without a studio program developed for them. And that is often the business in which these manufacturers operate. Annual license fees can be quite high and may come as a surprise on top of the investment. But of course, in general, this kind of activity is nothing new. The market is full of devices produced by Chinese. We know this very well, for example, with various camera systems. In any case, Portal Cam is an excellent device. Although I don't own one myself, I have been able to observe its use up close when a colleague of mine has acquired one. The scanner does what it promises, and its mobile app and the studio software works very well. 3D Gaussian Splatting models are very accurate with this scanner and are easy to produce and share. X-Grid is currently one of the most visible and influential players in this field, but I recommend following what kind of a solution other companies produce, and especially their software and what licensing terms they are offered. Alongside these dedicated 3D-GS scanners, one of the most significant technical development of 2025 has come from Meta, specifically with the launch of the Hyperscape from Meta Quest headsets. Hyperscape is without exaggeration one of the most impressive Gaussian splatting capture system released this year. Quality and fidelity of the resulting Gaussian models are remarkably high, and experiencing them in VR is easily one of the most convincing and immersive 3D-GS experiences I have had so far. From purely technical standpoint, Hyperscape is revolutionary. Using a consumer-level VR headset priced at only a few €100, it is possible to capture highly detailed and stable Gaussian models that rival or even surpass many dedicated scanning solutions. However, the system is not without issues or its limitations. At the moment, Hyperscape models can only be viewed through Meta's own ecosystem and app. The models are processed on Meta's servers, cannot be downloaded, and cannot be used outside the Meta platform. This makes Hyperscape a closed system rather than a production-ready scanning pipeline. But of course, we must remember that this is only a preview version and the entire application is still in beta. Despite these restrictions, the implications are profound. If Gaussian quality 3D environments can be captured at this level using affordable consumer hardware, it inevitably raises important question for the entire industry. Who still needs expensive dedicated scanner and in what situation? Hyperscape can fundamentally change the competitive landscape. Even if it's currently locked inside Meta's platform, the technology itself sets the new baseline that all other 3D-GS scanning solutions will be measured against. Okay, but let's look at some more notable technical achievements this year. And in this category, I definitely want to highlight Play Canvas and their leadership in creating open source and critically important solution in the 3D-GS fields. The development of the SOG format is particularly significant. I have already made a video on this topic, but let me reiterate that it is a compression algorithm that can reduce the size of Gaussian PLY files up to 95%. This is very significant, highly desired and anticipated achievement that will be very useful, especially for presenting Gaussian models online. But in addition to the SOG format, PlayCanvas has also made a remarkable breakthrough by developing the so-called LOD solution for Gaussian models. This level of detail solution enables the presentation of even larger Gaussian environments, for example in a web browser. Now models containing tens of millions of Gaussians are easy to present when their content can be loaded dynamically. The number of splats that are far away in 3D space can be reduced, and correspondingly the accuracy in the foreground close to the camera can be increased. Together with the compression method, the LOD solution is a very significant step forward that helps the entire industry develop better working services around Gaussian models. It has also been a pleasure to note that, for example, many of the viewer software that I presented earlier in this video have already adapted these formats developed by PlayCanvas. That's great, but as a final category, I want to talk about AI. Generative AI is also inevitably involved in the development of Gaussian splatting. An example of this is the Marble system developed by World Labs. Marble allows users to create fully navigatable 3D environments from simple inputs like text prompts, images, videos, or even panorama images, effectively turning human imagination into explorable 3D spaces. What makes Marble especially relevant to Gaussian splatting is that these worlds can be exported directly as Gaussian PLY files, meshes, or even cinematic videos. That means that you can generate a complete worlds from a prompt and then bring it into other workflows. Marble's Gaussian models are not entirely unrestricted, and there are still viewing angles where the 3D illusion breaks down. However, on general level, the results are truly impressive. It's astonishing what kind of an environment can be created completely from scratch using this technology. In contrast to scanning physical spaces, Marble is about creative generation, creating entirely new environments rather than reconstructing existing ones. This shift expands the role of 3DGS from capture format to AI-assisted world building, and it is only a glimpse of where spatial AI is heading. But then Marble is not the only one in this Gaussian AI arena. One of the freshest and the most intriguing AI tool to enter the 3D scene generation space in late 2025 is Echo from Spatial AI, officially announced on December 15th. Echo presents a spatial foundation model designed to turn simple prompts or images into fully explorable 3D worlds in real time. Very similar ways as Marble, Echo works by taking a user-provided text descriptions or an images and generate a geometrically consistent 3D environments that user can navigate freely with full camera control. But Echo is still a very new service and there weren't enough options to properly test it at the time of making this video. However, all the examples files looked very impressive and promising, so this will definitely be a tough challenger to Marble. These AI services do create an interesting new opportunity to create fictional environments. We can only imagine what role in the future these AI-generating Gaussian splatting models will play in virtual productions or even in games. So, that was my personal snapshot of 2025 in the world of Gaussian splatting. Over the course of this year, we've seen 3D.js evolve in multiple directions at once, and that none of these directions replace the other. Instead, I believe they expand the ecosystem and redefine what Gaussian splatting can be used for. I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Which of these developments stood out the most to you? And just as importantly, what do you think I missed? Let me know in the comments and let's continue the discussion there. I have also collected all the links of the softwares, services and devices mentioned in this video in the description. My own year has been full of twists and turns, and one thing that I'm especially excited about is that I have managed to develop my own magic wand scanner nicely forward. Along with that, the digital products I created for Blender, such as the camera array tool and especially the 360 extractor tool, have found their audiences wonderfully. And that's why I want to thank everyone who have bought them. And of course I want to thank all my followers for the past year. Even though the weather is not very encouraging right now, I can't wait to see what the next year will bring. We will get through this, I believe so. Thanks for watching.